Good morning. I'm SunAh, and you're listening to Let's Grab Coffee on WYXR 91.7 FM. Every Monday morning, I'm joined by experts from across the country who are investigating our most pressing social issues and common curiosities. Over the next hour, you'll learn about their inspirations, motivations, and of course, what they know about the world around us. So grab that cup of coffee and let's get ready for a fun and insightful conversation. So let's say you are looking for a product or a service. What do you do? If you're anything like me, you're probably going to go to Google. You're going to type in some keywords or maybe even the name of a business. And based on the search results, you'll make a decision. Now, we know online presence is key to any business, but especially to small businesses. And we've seen a surge in new businesses. In 2021, 5.4 million new business applications were filed, and this surpassed the record that was set in 2020 of 4.4 million. New business owners wear many hats, and while online marketing and advertising are necessary, it can oftentimes be overwhelming. So, how can entrepreneurs and small businesses make sure they're making the most of their online presence? Well, this morning, I'm joined by Dana James Mwangi, an entrepreneur, award winning brand strategist, and public speaker for creative professionals. Dana is the founder of Cheers Creative, a Memphis based consultancy that helps entrepreneurs grow their brands through her one on one brand strategy intensives and online courses. With over 15 years of expertise in graphic and web design, Dana shows business owners how they can stand out with clear messaging, visuals, and websites. Since opening Cheers, Dana's story, work, and writings about design and entrepreneurship have been featured and referenced in Essence, Forbes, Afrotech, HubSpot, and many more. Dana was chosen by Grow with Google to serve as the Tennessee Grow with Google digital coach. Through this program, Dana provides free digital skills training and coaching to help Black and Latinx small businesses in her community reach new customers, thrive online, and grow. Dana spreads her message at national conferences on how creative professionals can build confidence, push past fears, and lead with compassion to win in business. Welcome, Dana. It is such a pleasure to have you here with us this morning.
Hey, I am so excited to be here, SunAh. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I absolutely had to. I am a big, big fan of yours. And I know that my listeners will be as well, especially after this great conversation that we are going to have this morning.
Yes, absolutely.
So you are of course, celebrated graphic and web designer. And I just wanted to start by having you tell us a little bit about your journey into graphic design.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. I've always been pretty creative. I was the kid in the family that could draw very well, and my family did a good job of nurturing that gift for me. So my journey started really honestly as me being a visual artist, really heavy into illustration and things like that. Um, and when I got to college, I was undecided because I did not know what kind of artist I wanted to be. There were choices that I could have went into 3D sculpture, illustration, painting, or pottery, anything I wanted. And I saw a person going across the campus, a Black girl who looked just like me, and she had a
Mhm.
big portfolio. I said, "What is that?" She said, "Oh, it's my graphic design portfolio." And that day, and this was the early 2000s, I went and looked up what is graphic design. And I decided to take some graphic design classes and major in graphic design. And I really, really, really liked it, really enjoyed it. So that's where, and even though I am a visual artist, I had to learn how to think and conceptualize and create solutions that deliver results for clients.
Mm.
So that has been my journey.
Yes. There was so much there because, first of all, I love that you're like, oh, who is this amazing woman walking across campus? What is in her
Yeah.
hand?
Yes.
And isn't
It
that so often the case where it's just kind of this happenstance meeting and that just really just changes the course of your life?
And that's truly what happened. I saw a visual representation of what I could be.
Mhm.
and I was like, what is this? And her hair was flowing and all these things. And I was like, I want to do that. Okay, there is room for me. I can do this professionally. I can be a professional artist because I saw someone who looked like me.
Yes. I mean, that's just so important. Seeing someone who looks like you. I mean, that really opens up so many possibilities. So I love that that happened for you and everything, all the decisions you made after that. And something you said that I think is really key is, yes, you had always been a visual artist, but becoming a graphic design professional was very different, right? Because you mentioned now it's working with clients and delivering results for them based on kind of their vision.
Yes, absolutely. When you're drawing, and the type of art that I was doing, I could look at anything and draw it right down to the very last detail. And learning the principles of art and drawing is a bit different than learning the principles of design,
Mhm.
and also divorcing this idea that I had to be so literal with
Mhm.
what it is I was doing. That was the biggest part for me in design. I was learning, hey, you can trust your customer's brain if you do this right to fill in the blanks of what you're
Yes.
designing. So yeah, that's when I started learning about simplicity and customer psychology and all those things.
Yes. I love the idea of simplicity because, as you just mentioned, I'm sure we're all familiar with logos where the logo is exactly what the product is.
Yeah,
And it doesn't have to be that way.
absolutely not. It does not have your logo doesn't have to be literal at all.
Mhm. And that starts to get into some of this idea of branding. And we'll
Mhm.
probably talk a little bit about that later. But I wanted to kind of stay here for a moment on this idea of delivering a service or a product to your client, which I'm thinking about, your experience with graphic design and how important that is to think about, okay, what is it that my client wants and how can I communicate most effectively to them so we are kind of solving this problem together.
Awesome.
Yes. And so I'm thinking here about some of the early work that you've done with different companies. So
Mhm.
before you started Cheers Creative, maybe, and you're starting to get your feet wet in kind of this corporate world around graphic design. And
Mhm.
I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your experiences there and kind of how you decided to take the shift to starting your own brand consultancy.
Okay, awesome. Well, get ready for a good story. So, you know, um, right after school, I landed this internship where I was designing for real world clients, and I was a paid intern, and I was doing design for financial institutions and other institutions where it really mattered. Like your work had to be perfect as far as grammatical things and just different things like that. And also I had to follow these certain rules because these banks, SunTrust, Wells Fargo, or Discover Card, or whoever, they had brand rules. So now I'm learning how to use these graphics within a set of rules that these companies have created to protect their brands. And so they had what was called brand guides. They were like 200 pages thick.
Mm,
And
whew.
then, yes, like this is it was saying this is where you can place your logo, our logo.
Mhm.
This is the colors that you use for us. This is the tone of the photography that you use when creating brochures for us. Like, and there was millions of dollars that went into protecting these brands.
Mhm.
Then I went into package design, and that's when I started doing print design or package design for home storage items that were sold everywhere in almost every major retail chain you could think of: Target, CVS, Container Store, Bed Bath and Beyond, everywhere. All these everywhere, and every last one of those stores had the same thing: these huge 200 plus page brand guides. And so now here I go from being a visual artist to being a graphic designer to being someone a graphic designer that understands what it means to take care of a brand visually. What does it mean to protect the look of a brand? Now I have this knowledge in knowing if I move something this way or that way, and it's not within these brand guides, that I am not protecting this brand as they've instructed. So that's when this branding knowledge started kicking in. At the same time, I'm doing freelance on the side. I'm a single mom, and I actually started doing freelance in college because I had my son in college, and so I started doing freelance there. But when I started gaining that branding knowledge from these corporate jobs, it changed my mind on what does it mean to deliver quote unquote graphics to a client. Do I deliver graphics, or do I deliver brand visuals, which is a collection of graphics to help make sure that this company's visuals stay consistent? And
Mm,
so that's what showed me, hey, wait a minute, I can be a brand designer.
mm,
So now we're going from visual artist to graphic designer to brand designer. And that's when I really felt like Mama Bear. I'm protecting these brands, making sure that their fonts, logos, and colors are all consistent. Not necessarily that your brand is repetitive, but
mm.
it is consistent in the way that it is presenting itself. I did not know web design at the time.
Oh.
So what was happening was I was doing all this beautiful print
Mhm.
design and brand design and logos. But once my clients went and got websites, I couldn't really control the look, the feel, or the consistency of my client's brand. And I did not like the feeling of my clients having to go elsewhere. It felt like I was letting them down. And
Mhm.
I said, I'm going to learn web design so that I could take my branding knowledge into the web design world. So I started learning everything I could about web design, and I started offering brand design and web design. And so I offer web design from a brand strategist's point of view and perspective.
Mhm. Oh, I love that. Because there's, again, as you're just talking about your own journey, I think it's also very instructive to the small business owners who are listening or folks who are even thinking about launching a business. Because what I'm hearing, even as you're describing, your kind of move throughout, from visual artist to graphic designer to brand designer, and now brand designer and web design, right? What I'm hearing is you continuing to expand your own skill set, also
Yes.
being responsive to the people that you're working with and learning everything you can learn at each stage, which I think is so key.
That's exactly what was happening. At every turn, I was gaining knowledge. I graduated from college in 2007, and I went back to school, not necessarily enrolled back in college, but it's time someone was having a web design coding class and I heard of it, I would enroll in it and I would take the courses. Or I would go into what was called lynda.com at the time. I believe LinkedIn bought that platform, and now I LinkedIn. It's like LinkedIn's e-learning platform. You can learn any program you want within like a weekend or a day.
Wow.
And in tech, it's very important that you keep your skills sharp because programs and things change all the time. And if you blink and close your eyes for 1 second and say, okay, well, I understand this now, and you let 6 months go by, well, now there's some new things that you need to learn that you haven't learned. And so that's what I did. Google became my friend. I did I've learned, I think college taught me how to get into the rhythm of studying.
Mm.
And then that self-education is where I really learned how to talk to people, how to ask really good questions about branding and, all that good stuff. My life education has given me so much.
Absolutely. And I love how you said that, how, the formal schooling got you into that rhythm of continuous learning, right?
Yeah.
And you were able to, again, use those skills in different ways to assist you through these different stages and phases.
Yep. That's exactly what happened.
So I love that. And so then came Cheers Creative.
Yes.
So tell me
Yes.
about the specific need that you saw that you could fill with Cheers Creative.
What happened was, again, I was doing print design and package design in corporate America by
Mm,
day, and I was doing freelance design, at night. And I had a son. who at this point was in kindergarten. And I realized, wait a minute, I have all these clients.
Mm.
There's a demand for what it is that I'm doing. And the only thing that's standing in my way is I don't have enough time. If I had time, if I had these hours in the day to work towards my business, I knew at that point in my freelance career that I would be booked out. I
Mm.
had the proof. I had the clients. And so I kneeled down to my son and I told him, by the time you are in first grade, mommy is going to be home waiting for you. She's going to be working from home and you don't have to go to school and daycare for extended, hours at a
Mm.
time, anymore. And I made that promise to him and I kept that promise. So I'm doing freelance design and now I am applying what I learned from school, what I've been learning on my own, and
Mm.
also what I've been learning at my job
Mhm.
about branding, but not just branding. When they would call me into meetings and I would see how the CEO or my immediate supervisor would talk to consultants. I
Mm.
would see how they would talk to uh, designers or whoever agencies that they would hire from out of town. And then I was like, okay, there's something about being a consultant. Then you can work by yourself and get paid and get the big bucks.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I think I can help protect these brands in my community that I've been working for with this knowledge because now I know how to make a consistent brand and not just, fill someone up with false hope with a business card and that's it.
Mm.
Like I have what it takes now. And so in December of 2011, I put in my 30-day notice and I quit. I quit. And in January 1st, 2012 was my first time since I was 14 years old that I did not have a job. I was working for myself full time and as a sole proprietor at the time.
Mhm.
And so Cheers Creative was born around that time.
I
Yep.
love that. Happy 10-year anniversary.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
that is so amazing because, again, just thank you so much for sharing your story because I think it's so, again, so instructive to people thinking about starting their own business or even who are maybe in early years of entrepreneurship. Again, just like that learning process, I think is so key, continuing to learn. But also, what I hear you saying is having a specific vision for what it is that you wanted to do and
Hmm.
continuing to act on that vision. Um,
Absolutely.
and so that is just so key. So by the time that you launch your business in 2012, you have so much knowledge
Hmm.
that you can use for your own business, right? Instead of just
Right.
working for these, corporate entities that you had been working for. And so I love just hearing about your journey. And then something else that I don't want people to miss is that you said in January of 2012, when you launched Cheers Creative, you were a sole proprietor. And I think that's important because some people think they have to immediately jump into an LLC or some other type of business structure
Right.
before maybe they have some other pieces in place.
Right. Right. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it is true. You can start business as a sole proprietor, and I'll tell anyone that's listening, please refer to your city and state regulations and guidelines when it comes to business structure, the right one for you. Talk to lawyers and financial advisors on what the right steps for you. But you can step out here as a sole proprietor and make sure that you also have business insurance.
Mm.
And you can get business insurance as low as $50 a month and be covered for what with lawsuits, or if you move around and maybe you're doing landscaping, you need insurance just in case you damage someone's property. And having that, even being a sole proprietor, having a business insurance, you move about differently. You move around more confidently because you know that you're covered and even the people you hire are covered no matter what. And
Mm-hmm.
even some of the jobs and opportunities you go after, you have to have proof of business insurance. So even if you don't have an LLC, yeah, you can start out as a sole proprietor. and your social security number would be the EIN or employee ID number. I went ahead and applied for employee ID number anyway. I needed that because psychologically I needed to see, okay, this is a business, this is an entity. So
Mhm.
I filed under that. And then later on, I took the steps to create an LLC. But yes, absolutely, you can be a sole proprietor and run your own business.
Hmm. Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing this part of your journey so far. Let's take a quick break. You're listening to Let's Grab Coffee on WYXR 91.7 FM. I'm SunAh, and I'm here with Dana James Mwangi, founder of Cheers Creative and Tennessee's Grow with Google coach. And before the break, Dana was sharing with us part of her journey into launching Cheers Creative, 10 years in business this year. Congratulations. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about Cheers Creative before we talk about the work you do with Grow with Google as Tennessee's Grow with Google coach. Now, with Cheers Creative, starting out freelance work that you were doing while you had, kind of your day job. And this company, Cheers Creative, has grown so much over the past decade, award winning, international clients. I mean, you are doing it. And, I think that 10-year mark is so great because we know that so few businesses make it to that 10-year mark.
Right, right.
Yes. And I'm wondering, as you're thinking back over this first decade of
Mm.
your company, would you say have been some of the most important lessons that you've learned?
Oh my goodness, do you have the time? Uh, I will say this: be patient with your own journey.
Mhm.
Do not look to your left. Do not look to your right and wish you had what someone else has. Because there's either one or two things going on. They really do have it like that. They really do have it going on, and you don't know the sacrifices it took for that person to get that, or they lying. One of them two, because social media allows us to exaggerate, lie, whatever, But either way, you don't know this other person's story. Okay. And in the beginning, don't be discouraged. Okay. Um, you know, I didn't, when I first started my business, again, I had the clients, I wasn't necessarily started from scratch, and I was matching my monthly salary from home. Then I got married to the love of my life, and which was great. And we had twins, and I got very sick, and I lost almost everything. Had to give refunds. Went through this process of it was very difficult. It was very difficult. And then when the baby was born, now I'm a new mom again, a
Mhm.
wife and a business owner, all within the span of a year. And so, things got slowed down for me a bit. And I had to not only have patience and hang in there, but I also had to consider my business model. It was my children that
Mhm.
made me consider moving from one on one client work to working with several people at once. It was my children, having children, that made me consider my pricing because my children were getting older, and I started this business to be at home with my children. Underpricing and doing a lot of one-on-one client work at a price that was too low was what was keeping me from my children, and it also keeping me from having good health.
Mm.
So charge what your work is worth. Charge because of the results you get for your clients, which means you need to go after clients that you can get a result from, which are more than likely going to be the high paying clients. And then I also made this shift from doing design work to realizing, wait a minute, all this design knowledge I have, this branding knowledge, that is something that I can sell separate from design services. There's
Mm.
a lot of people that need branding knowledge and branding know-how. And so that's when I got into this idea of, okay, I could be a brand consultant. I can do one-on-one coaching. I can create an online course and show people, well, the logo is nice, but here's what makes a logo great. The meaning behind your brand. That's
Mm.
what's really going to generate a feeling when people see your logo. And so through these years, again, going from visual strategist to graphic designer to graphic and web designer that knows about branding to becoming a branding and website consultant. And just honestly, my children, them getting older, my son graduated from high school almost a year early.
Mm.
Um, my baby girls turning into preteens really woke me up, and I was like, you got to change your business model. And so that's what inspired me. So for anybody out there listening, think about having high premium price services from the jump that are geared towards getting results for people.
Yes. As I was listening to you talk, again, I'm just struck by this commitment, or what I think of as a commitment to learning and growing in your business, right? Taking on, more knowledge, constantly sharpening your skills, which I think is definitely key, but then also just being responsive to your own life, right? As you talked about, the kids getting married, your own health, having that courage to say, okay, maybe the plan or how I thought things were going to go is not going like that right now, but that's okay. I can kind of shift what it is that I want to do or how I'm going to do it versus I want to stick to this one rigid plan, right?
Right.
Which would have led you to have, deteriorating health and not being there for your family, things that were very important to you. And so I think that's so key, having that flexibility, but also growing it beyond maybe what you had even thought about at first, right? You talking about changing some of your business model, thinking about, okay, how can I deliver results in the most effective and efficient way possible, not just for my clients, but also for myself.
Yeah. That has been my 10-year lesson, and it's still my lesson every day. Every day.
Yes. And so, listeners, you can understand why Grow with Google sought out Dana to be one of their coaches. And the Grow with Google program, I think I love so much because of everything that it offers. But I want to give you the opportunity to kind of tell folks what Grow with Google is and why it's so important for small business owners, especially thinking about Black and Latinx small business owners, here in Memphis, but across Tennessee as well.
Yes. So the Grow with Google Digital Coaches Program is one of many programs that Google has. Google saw the need to create some free training, some workshops for Black and Latinx business owners in, I think, what was originally 18 to 20 different cities across the United States. Chicago, Pittsburgh, New York, Miami, Cleveland, Birmingham, Phoenix. And so in 2020, Google's decided to add Memphis to that list of cities because they saw the need there to close the wealth gap and the tech gap between, Black and Latinx business owners. So they started looking for a coach, and there were several people that hit me up in my inbox and said, Dana, I don't know what this is, but this looks like it's for you. This is yours. I had several people tell me that. And I was like, okay, all right. And then people kept sending it to me, and I looked at it. I said, this is interesting because Google is looking for people to teach different workshops about, how to make your website work for you, branding, how to use your Google business profile, how to use Google tools like the calendar, Google Drive, Google Docs, Workspace, and all these things to make your business efficient. But they want you to be well connected to your community. And so at this point, we are 4 months into the pandemic. And I'm seeing, and I have to tell you this, I'm seeing all this stuff going on in the streets with Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. And I just remember just the rage that erupted from the general public, everyone who was affected, especially Black people, by these things that were going on. And I literally got online and I said, if there's nothing else that I know how to do, I can help people build virtual empires online. I can help people build things, especially people of color, build things that cannot be by bias or anything. And in my mind, I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to help build virtual Tulsa. And if you don't know what the Tulsa Oklahoma massacre is, go look that up, because that was Black Wall Street, and it was destroyed. People don't know that they rebuilt it afterwards again, but then some other things happened that destroyed their community. But I said, we can build virtual properties. We can build virtual businesses, and I can help people do that. Build things that can be passed down, and it can't be burnt down.
Mm.
And next thing you know, I got this invitation to interview for Grow with Google. And it lined up with what I was passionate about.
Yes.
And they told me what it entailed. And I really, really liked the idea. And next thing you know, they said, hey, congratulations, you have been selected. And so that's when I became part of the Grow with Google family. So at this point, I'm 9 years in business. Oh, 8 years in business, and I am already teaching. I'm a consultant. I'm a public speaker, and now I'm a Grow with Google digital coach. It was one of the best feelings in the world to be able to do that. And the other cool thing is I get to highlight Black, Latinx business owners in my community as well, share that platform with them. So that's another thing I love. And then they told me, okay, well, now you have all of Tennessee. So that's what I got really, really, really excited. And it's one of my favorite things to do. I love to teach, and I love to tie in the use of digital tools to help you run your business or parts of your business on autopilot, so you can get back to taking care of your business and yourself.
Yes. Take care of your business and yourself. Exactly.
Yes.
What I heard you say that I think, again, another key was there's this great opportunity, right? Working with Google, an awesome opportunity that other people saw that was ideal for what you were already doing, and that you yourself saw as aligned with your own vision and your values. And that is so important, because there are a lot of great opportunities out there, but not all of them are aligned with our own vision and values. So
Absolutely.
thinking about that decision-making process, right? And being, knowing what to say yes to and knowing what to say no to. I think, again, being able to say, okay, this is my vision for my business and my vision for myself, and these are the values of my business and my own personal values. It makes it just that much easier to know what to say yes to and what to say no to.
Absolutely. I have built my career with no. I have used no to be able to free up my time to big yeses. And truth be told, I was offered a position to be a web design or web development teacher for a university outside of the country around the same time. But I knew within my soul that I was going to be a Google digital coach. And so I said, I'm sorry, something else came up, another opportunity came up. I'm not going to be able to do it. But here are some of my trusted colleagues that I know would be great for the job. And there was nothing wrong with it. That's the other thing. It was nothing wrong with what they offered me. It just wasn't for me. And so you have to have great discernment, and you have to really go with your gut and do the things that excite you, and do the things that are most authentic to you, because that's where the wealth resides.
Oh, yes, that was a word right there. Look, I can't wait to play this back. Yes, that was it right there. The other piece that I think is so important too is, like you said, with that opportunity, you were able to say, hey, it's not, something else came up, or this isn't for me, but I know some other people who, would be ideal. And even with the Grow with Google workshops that you host, you're always bringing on other folks that right? So again, giving them the opportunity to share their expertise, growing potentially their own clientele or just their own reach. But I think that speaks to the importance of the connections that you've made, but also in general, the importance of having community. And in this way, I see a community of a lot of other creatives.
Yes, absolutely. Somebody gave me a chance. That's all I know. Somebody gave me a chance. Somebody referred someone to me. And that's how I got my shot. And that's how I began to get visibility. And so I just look at it as paying forward. And as I go higher in my career, I realize that I do have a platform. I realize that I do have the power to amplify voices and of people who normally would not get a chance to be in certain rooms or speak. And so I enjoy using my power for things like that.
Mhm.
And that's honestly, that's what I'm here for.
Yes, I love that. Now, I know that, when it comes to small businesses, of course, we know that a lot, don't make it past their first year. I think some
Mm-hmm.
stats say about 20% fail within their first year,
Mm-hmm.
and about 50% fail by year 5. And of course, there are a variety of different reasons for this, but a couple
Mm-hmm.
that I think are related to your specific area of expertise and something that you do offer is I'm thinking about how oftentimes small businesses, they don't have the marketing plan,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't have their specific niche kind of really narrowed down.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering if you could talk about some of the mistakes that, or common mistakes that you see kind of small business owners or new business owners make when it comes to that online presence.
Yes. When it comes to, and I've made them too, so it's not just what I've observed, it's also what I've experienced.
Mhm.
I have seen entrepreneurs trying to offer several services coming right out of the gate of entrepreneurship, but what they don't realize is they have to market every single last one of those services. And so, and now you have to market to all these different audiences who will be the ideal fit for those services. A lot of business owners don't realize they can come out the gate with one product and kill the game.
Mhm.
That it is possible to scale your business by doing less, by offering less. I see a lot of times is business owners have very complicated business models.
Mhm.
And so when it's complicated to run, it's complicated to market and explain to other people.
Mhm.
Okay. So then when you cannot explain quickly what you offer, who you offer it to, how you offer it, what makes you different, why you offer it, your story, and your mission in offering it, how you trying to change people's lives or change a piece of the world by doing this. When you can't answer those questions, then you're going to have a problem marketing or your service. You're going to have a problem branding yourself online. The new entrepreneurs' biggest fight is that they will try to overcomplicate their business because we've been taught and conditioned to believe that it's got to feel like work to be work, that I must offer everything. And we also look at people 10, 20 years in the game that are offering all these different products and services, but you don't know where they started. You
Mhm.
don't know that they only sold this or that, or just one type of product when they first started. So, just really scaling back, niching down, those are the things that entrepreneurs um, need to do. Those are the main things that I see. And also, don't give up.
Mhm.
Don't give up. Truth be told, your first year in business, it's not about making profit. It is about being a scientist and experimenting and figuring out what is the best way to offer up your expertise or your product or service to your client or to your
Mhm.
customer. That's all you're doing. Your first year is about making mistakes. It's about getting the kinks out. And
Mhm.
it's about doing all these different things. And even maybe 2 or 3 years in, you still might not have made as much as you thought you would, but you're learning. When I first started my business, I was offering brand and web design to everyone. And I quickly learned that there are certain industries that I did not want to offer brand and web design to, either because there was a lot of regulations certain industries had, or it just working for those particular industries just did not click with me. For not a particular reason, but everybody has a place where they shine. And so
Mhm.
when I started doing work for industry leaders, people who do TED Talks, people who have YouTube channels, people who are on talk shows and are selling courses and books, that I really, really enjoyed working for those type of people. And I started to niche down myself.
Mhm.
And that's when I started to see the jump and increase in income in
Mhm.
my own business. And that's where you will start to see it too as a new entrepreneur. When you niche down and really get specific as to who you serve and what you serve and how you do it.
Mhm. I love this idea of in year one, you're a scientist, you're experimenting, you're trying to see, okay, what is the best way to offer that good that or service to your client,
Mm-hmm.
and not think year one, I'm going to make $1 million.
Right, right, right.
Or,
And that has happened to certain people before. Let's not, I mean, that can happen. That can happen. But just be cognizant that that's not, that's not everybody's story. And even if that doesn't happen to you, that doesn't mean that you failed. You're learning. You are learning. And once you scale, now I will say this, once you niche down, once you simplify your business model, it is very well possible to get into the high 6 figures and 7 figure range because you have something that you can offer in a simple way over and over again. You got to put yourself in a position to create that type or to generate that type of income.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Well, let's take another quick break. You're listening to Let's Grab Coffee on WYXR 91.7 FM. I'm SunAh, and here I'm joined by Dana James Mwangi, founder of Cheers Creative and Tennessee's Grow with Google coach. And if you are just now tuning in, you will definitely have to listen to this full episode on WYXR.org or in podcast format on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you stream podcasts, because Dana has dropped so many gems this morning, and you don't want to miss any of them. So before the break, Dana, we were talking about some of the work that you do as Tennessee's Grow with Google coach. And I'm wondering if there are any upcoming workshops that you could share with some of our listeners, or even if past workshops you'd like to talk about to give listeners an idea of some of the specific topics that have been covered.
Oh, absolutely. I actually do have a couple of more workshops lined up for this month. This month, I'm teaching the entrepreneur's marketing journey. Okay, the customer journey that you're going to take your customer through, the 4 different points, basically how to move them from being aware of who you are to considering buying from you. It takes a lot. Okay, and then purchasing from you, and then having a customer become a repeat customer, a repeat purchaser. Like, what kind of marketing strategies do you have in place at every step of the customer journey? And so this week, we're going to be talking about how to move customers from considering buying from your brand to getting them to go ahead and hit that buy button, smack that buy now button and come back and buy. So I'll be going over that. And it's one of my favorite Grow with Google workshops to teach. I'm also going to be showing how people can use their Google business profile. If you've ever searched for a specific business online in Google and it came up in a search, you look over to the right of the search results and you may see what's called a Google profile for a business, where you see the store hours, you see the images, their videos and all that. Well, there's a variety of businesses that qualify for having a free Google business profile. And so I show people how to set that up and make the most of that profile and how to maintain and use it just like you would a website, just like you would social media, but use it in concert with all of those things. I also teach how to make your website work for you. I also teach how to get the most out of an e-commerce website. I teach project management with Google tools. I teach about Google Analytics, Google Ads. I teach how to create YouTube channels, how to do video ads, and just how to use tech to really supercharge your business with all these free Google tools that are out here.
Mm-hmm. I love how many free tools there are. And,
yes.
Folks, may not know about them or don't feel comfortable using them. And so I think the Grow with Google program is so great to get people familiar with the products and then to use them to help grow their businesses. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's free. The products that we recommend are free, except for, of course, ads. But other than that, everything else is free. And why not take advantage of these resources to supercharge your business? So I love teaching these and getting seeing the light bulbs go off in my virtual classroom when I teach these workshops.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think it's so great that Google came up with this program. And, I'm just thinking about all the value that it adds to small businesses and really helps people get ahead of the curve, as you mentioned, and kind of bridge some of these gaps, not only tech gaps, but also ultimately bridging these wealth gaps as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Now, I know we're getting close to the end of our time, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about the nonprofit Envision, Lead, Grow, because I think it's so important, thinking just all about the impact and reach that you have
Mhm.
through these different channels, and Envision, Lead, Grow being one of
Mhm.
those.
Envision Lead Grow is a nonprofit organization that was started by this amazing businesswoman named Dr. Angela Reddix out of Virginia. And
Mhm.
she is someone who has an incredible story. And she started a healthcare consultancy and she grew that business to 150 employees in 10 years. And her healthcare consultancy was instrumental in in establishing, Obamacare in different places and all those different things. She's taken her business savvy, her business know-how, and she created a nonprofit called Envision Lead Grow. And her goal was to help 1,000 girls across the United States in impoverished communities become entrepreneurs. And to do that, what she did is she found successful entrepreneurs in different cities: Atlanta, DC, um, Memphis, and other cities, and um, got entrepreneurs to become mentors
Mhm.
to to girls who wanted to start businesses. And so I started off as a public speaker at one of Envision League Grow's events. And then they came back and asked me to be a mentor. That was one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done, to mentor a 12-year-old graphic designer, um, uh, was a fashion designer who makes reversible clothing, who's now in her first year of college and has her own clothing line. Another young lady who does art therapy. Yes, you heard me correctly. Art therapy, and just instilling confidence in these girls and watching them make money at such a young age and learning about business formations and all of those things. So I did that for a while. I was a mentor to middle age and high school age girls who were entrepreneurs in the city of Memphis. And then from there, I was asked to be on the board of directors. And so with my branding know-how, I help with telling the story of Envision Lead Grow, especially from my perspective, because I've been on the ground. I've been with the girls. I've taken them to competitions, business pitching competitions, and Envision Lead Grow's Entrepreneurship Institute that took place in Washington, D.C., where they got a chance to be in front of women who led Fortune 500 companies. So I had that point of view. So I was like, let's use this branding to tell a great story to help this wonderful organization get the funding they deserve, because they have met their goal with helping all these girls across the country become entrepreneurs. And it was something that I didn't even know I needed. Mentoring does something for the mentor as
Mm,
well.
yes. Yes, it does. I'm thinking about your work with Envision, Lead, Grow, and I'm thinking about that story you told about how, when you were in college, seeing that woman across campus with her portfolio and how that gave you kind of a vision for your future. And similarly for you, serving as a speaker and then a mentor to these girls, also giving them, a vision for what they can do in their own businesses and with their future as well. So I love
Yes,
that idea of kind of this kind of full circle moment, right? Of
it
continuing to
was.
give back.
It was, and it was so fulfilling. I recommend mentoring to everyone.
Yes. And I think it's important what you said, mentoring is so important. We think about it as people who might need mentors in different stages of our life or just business. But that being a mentor also is very fulfilling.
It is very fulfilling. And it's like it's you get to see you're giving your 12-year-old self the advice you needed or the example that you needed to see when you were younger, or your undergrad version of yourself. You're giving that version of yourself, advice. And it's just it's a wonderful process for everybody involved.
Yes, I love that. Well, Dana, I have had such a great time talking to you this morning. I know we're at the end of our time together, but if you could let people know how they can find you or get in touch with you.
Okay. Yes, I am everywhere online. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Clubhouse at Dana James Mwangi. Mwangi. Dana James Mwangi. Again, it's important to have the same social user handle for every social media page, because I can say I'm everywhere at Dana James Mwangi. And also the name of my business is Cheers Creative. www.cheers with an S on the end, cheerscreative.com. And I'm everywhere online at Cheers Creative. And you can email me at hello at danajamesmwangi.com. Also on my website is a link to click to sign up for my free virtual Grow with Google workshops.
All right. I love that. And look, leaving us with one more gem about that online presence, making sure you have all the different social media handles, that consistency. It definitely makes it easier for people to find you, because I know, listeners, you've probably had the experience. You're looking for a person, a company, a product, and it's one handle on, one social media site is a different handle, then the website is different. And now you can't even find them anymore.
Right. So do yourself and your customers a favor. This has been wonderful. I've enjoyed this interview, and you've actually taken me back and made me remember parts of my own story that I forgot. So thank you so much, SunAh.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing with us this morning. It has been such a pleasure. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Thank you again to Dana James Mwangi for joining us this morning. I learned so much from her. And just imagine, this was just a conversation here today, and how much more you can learn from her if you sign up for the free Grow with Google trainings. And then for other business owners, you can always learn more about the services of Cheers Creative as well. If you missed any part of this conversation, do not worry. You can catch the replay on WYXR.org on the Let's Grab Coffee show page. Or, of course, subscribe to Let's Grab Coffee in podcast format, available wherever you stream podcasts. Now, for today's positive note, I just want to remind you of something that Dana shared with us. As she said, one of her big lessons from 10 years in her business, right, which is to be patient with your own journey. And that is the reminder that we need, not only if you're a business owner, this applies to the personal lives as well. Be patient with your own journey. I definitely need that reminder myself sometimes as well. This has been Let's Grab Coffee on WYXR 91.7 FM. Remember, every Monday morning, I am here with you, chatting it up with experts from across the country who are helping us make sense of the world around us. I can't wait to have you back here with me next Monday morning.